Have I done a video on this before? I'm not sure. And the list is getting long enough, it's hard to search. I don't think I've done this before. So, hopefully we're in new territory here. 5th edition has this convention where some classes are full casters. They get full spell casting progression, by which I mean every odd level, they're getting access to a new level of spell. And there's a standardized progression of spell slots. They get additional spell slots every level as they go up. And I think that holds true all the way to 20. I don't think there's a single level where they don't get more spell slots. And then you have half casters. We'll ignore the warlock for now. Not relevant. And then you have half casters, which progress at half that rate. So every even level, they get spell slots as if they were a caster of half their level. So the Ranger, the Paladin, and the Artificer are half casters in 5th edition. Now, I have sometimes made the assertion that half casters cannot work in 5th edition. The fundamental way that spells work and the way that they progress makes it so that you can't do half casters. There's no way to do half casters in a way that is going to make them fair and even with full casters, no matter what else you give them. And here's why. It's because spell levels progress exponentially. A level 2 spell is more than twice as valuable as a level 1. A level 3 spell is, say, more than twice as valuable as a level 2. They're not 2 times as valuable, 3 times as valuable, 4 times as valuable as a level 1. The value of the spell slot goes up and up and up and up, and you get more and more spell slots. It's exponential progression of power. Now, this is better than 3rd edition. In 3rd edition, casters were actually quadratic in their power, because not only did they get higher levels of spells and more low-level slots, all their spells also advanced automatically. Like, you didn't have to upcast them. That part has gone. So now you have to upcast a spell if you want more effect. But here's the thing. A lot of spells in 5th edition maintain their value at all levels. Web, just as valuable at level 20 as it is at level 3 when you get it. Therefore, the value of the slot has not actually gone down. You've only gotten more of it. So there's a bit of give and take there. Like, damage spells definitely reduce in value over time because monsters have more and more health and you're not doing more and more damage. So the value of a damaging spell goes down as you get higher level. But non-damaging spells, and there's a lot of fantastic non-damaging spells. Some of the best spells in the game don't do damage because control is king. Because of this exponential growth, like let's say every level that a spellcaster goes up, you square their total effectiveness. So it's in squared, where in is your level. So you go level 1, 1 squared is 1, so your power level is 1. Level 2, 2 squared is 4, so you go from 1 to 4, a +3 increase. And then you go to level 3, and now you go to 9, a +5 increase. And you go up like that. Well, even if, let's pretend for a moment that marshals had their own resource system that worked similarly to spells. Let's be like wild, crazy Christmas fantasy land here and say that there was a marshal system in place where you got techniques and they were competitive with spells. And half casters, instead of just getting half spell casting, got half progression in both systems. I think we can all agree that that would be a wild increase in the total power and effectiveness of these half casters. So let's say they got half progression in both. So the half caster is going to be at their in value is half of what the full caster is. So when the full caster gets to level 4, 4 squared is 16. The half caster is going to be 2. 2 squared is 4. But it's in both. 4 and 4 is 8. So you're still at half the power of a full caster. Even with this massive increase in overall effectiveness, your overall power level for your character is half of what a full caster's is. So you see the problem and how this is never going to go away. It's only going to get worse. So what's the solution? Well, there's a couple of solutions. One, a game, and by the way, all these solutions are like fully rewrite the game, play different games, rebuild the game from scratch. Like, you cannot salvage this in 5th edition. But solution number one, if you want a sort of hybrid character, then you need to either have systems that do not scale exponentially, or you need to have a system, the system for the hybrid character scale at the same rate as the full character, but make the abilities different. This is the approach that 4th edition took. Now, actually, it kind of took both, because not only do abilities in 4th edition not scale exponentially, they actually scale. They have a very like shallow scaling rate. But also, what they did was, like, let's say you have, like, the Sword Mage, this hybrid character. You're going to do weapon attacks, you're going to do implement attacks. You also have things like the Paladin and the Cleric have these options as well. They also are hybrid characters between weapons and implements and spellcasting. The Druid actually is technically spellcasting for both, but it kind of shifts between modes. Like, you have your melee beast form abilities, and you have your, like, stand back and cast spells abilities. In all these cases, your actual progression of abilities is the same rate as everyone else's. It's just the kinds of abilities that you have access to evoke that hybrid playstyle. You know, the Druid splits between, you know, ranged spellcasting and melee beast attacks. And you know, you're free to choose what balance you want there. You know, you can lean entirely into the beast form, you can lean entirely into spellcasting. Same thing with the Paladin. Now, the Paladin is almost forced to focus on weapon attacks. And you can have, like, magic spells in addition to supplement that. Or you can just lean entirely into weapons and not really care about your implement abilities. The Cleric is a little bit more down the road, or down the middle of the road. You can sort of lean in either direction with the Cleric as much as you want. So that is, I think, the preferred solution, which is to treat magical abilities and non-magical abilities, or I guess I should say, like, spellcasting and martial flavored abilities. Treat them equally, and then everyone can progress at the same rate, and then you will have fairness and balance in your system. In 5th edition, you cannot have this at all. Even if you go to all the work, you're talking like dozens of pages, hundreds of pages of content to create a martial technique system that is just as busted as spellcasting. Even then, with that addition, it's not going to be fair because of the exponential increase in the power of spells. A spellcaster that's throwing down 7th, 8th, 9th level spells has basically nothing to fear from someone who's doing half that, you know, the 3rd and 4th level spells. Like, there's hardly a comparison. So when I say that half casters cannot work in 5th edition, I'm not just saying that they didn't do a good job. I'm saying that the whole idea is fundamentally flawed, cannot be made to work. There is no way to balance half casters and full casters. And a big part of that is that they refuse to give they refuse to have a character that or a class that has an entirely unique spell list. the fact that you have to be able to share slots between, like if you multi-class between classes. So again, multi-classing strikes again. Multi-classing ruins, the 5th edition style multi-classing ruins everything it touches. Every little bit of the system that it interacts with in any way, ruins. Because of the way that spell casting works when you multi-class, you have to account for the fact that a half-caster can go up and get some spells that are only available to the half-caster. So even if a half-caster had a fully unique spell list that accounted for the fact that they have fewer spells, so their spells are more powerful than the same level spells of other classes because you have fewer slots. So that's fair, right? But because you can multi-class, you have to account for the fact that I can just start dipping into a full caster class and double the rate of my spell slot progression. Sure, I'll lose access to some of the higher level spell slots or higher level spells that the half caster gives me access to, but whatever. I've got so many more slots to burn on my overpowered low level spells, which makes it a problem. So multi-classing strikes again. They're never going to give you a class with a fully unique spell list because homogeneity is sort of like key to 5th edition class design. You have to have everyone with massive overlaps of abilities. It's so like they absolutely would not take anything like the steps necessary to try to fix this. But I also would posit that it is not fixable. You have to completely rewrite the game, completely reinvent the whole paradigm of class design in order for these hybrid characters to work well and for there to be any semblance of balance between the classes. So half-casters cannot work in 5th edition.